Hi, everyone. My name is Alberta, and welcome to episode 6 of the Evently Live Chat Show. Today, we're going to have a special guest with us, Malcolm Bartolo. He owns a restaurant in Rabat called Townhouse No3, and we're going to be discussing with him the restaurant business, food, and everything amidst the situation we are in at the moment with COVID-19. I'm also going to introduce for you my co-host for today, Ben Vincenti. So I hope you guys enjoy the show. I'm just going to invite them in. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. I'm good, thanks. And you guys?
Good.
Good, cool. So thank you very much, Malcolm, for being on the show with us today. We appreciate it, especially since we can understand how many things you have going on at the moment. First off, I would like to ask you for our viewers to know who you are, what you do, your background, so they know who Malcolm is and what Townhouse No3 is.
Well, Townhouse No3 is a small restaurant in Rabat, and it's in an alleyway. Sort of the concept of the whole place is to use as much as possible local produce. So practically all the local produce that comes in the restaurant is locally sourced.
Very good.
And from small artisans, a guy who's got 13 goats and prepares cheese, So we work with a lot of small artisans and growers. There's one who grows micro herbs and it's all on organic things. So the whole idea is that we're small and we want to support small business as much as possible. It comes at a higher cost, but it's more rewarding.
Very good, very good. And Malcolm, maybe a bit even your background for our viewers, how you came to having your own restaurant.
Well, this June, it would be my 20th birthday in catering.
Cool, okay.
So I started in Malta. I started in one of the hotels in St. George's, and after that I started college, and then I decided to leave Malta, and I spent a good 7 years away
Okay.
from Malta. Most of the time I lived on another island, so I started off in Edinburgh, then I went to Bath, and then I went to the Isle of Man. So it's just the way I see the Isle of Man is an English-speaking Gozo. It's full of greenery, very quiet. And after that, I had to come back to Malta for family reasons, and it's been 7 years.
Cool, okay.
So came back. First job was Palazzo Castelletti, another really nice place in Rabat. After that, I moved on to Palazzo Paraiso, Nashar.
Okay.
So both were quite biggish outlets. But then when you look at the money you've got in your pocket to do your own thing, I'm definitely not gonna afford either Palazzo Castelletti or Palazzo Paraiso. So for Palazzo, we've downsized to a townhouse. Uh, so that's my background really.
Very cool. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Malcolm. So as I mentioned in the beginning, today I would like to speak with you mainly about food, the restaurant business, and everything that is happening at the moment, Malcolm. First off, maybe we can speak about the typical audience that you target with Townhouse No3. Even maybe you could tell the viewers like how many tables you cater for and what the whole concept is.
Town Townhouse number 3 is as I said, it's quite a small restaurant. So really the majority of tables we get are twos and fours.
Okay.
In fact, on a night that we happen to have a table of six or an eight, the table of twos will give us bad looks because it's a small room, and it's obviously that a table of six or eight is going to be loud, even just joking. So the tables of two don't get the quietness that they usually find. But then obviously the way the place is split, it's got a private cellar. So then sometimes when you get a table of 8 or 10 that want to have fun, want to laugh, want to be noisy, there's a private cellar, and that's the ideal place. But really, our audience are smaller tables, and then we do get the tables since sort of by time the way things have gone that we get foodies who open quite a few bottles of wine and practically go through the whole menu. So they split my menu. They get all the cold starters in the beginning, all the hot starters as a middle course, main courses. So it's sort of two kinds of audiences.
Okay. All right. I do want our viewers to know, like, if you guys haven't checked out Malcolm's Facebook page, you definitely should do so because, I mean, it is amazing. You stay looking at the photos of the food that this guy comes up with and prepares. It is absolutely divine. Like, I keep watching and staring and liking at all your photos of the different food. But it's not just a passion for food that you have. I mean, you also have a certain passion in wine, right, Malcolm?
Yes, yes, yes. I quite like wine, especially I mean, there's some really, really good local wine. In fact, there's before I left Malta, I thought that the Maltese wine was sort of cooking wine to a step above, sort of table wine. But once you start, I mean, you've left Malta, sort of. I was lucky enough that I worked in a restaurant that when bottles of wine weren't finished by guests, they were shared in between the kitchen and the restaurant. And the maitre d' used to go through the wine and explain what we should be tasting. So sort of that's where the love of wine started. Then you get your own sort of business, and then a guy offers you a glass of wine. A wine producer comes to eat with you and gets his own wine, and you start to say, there's some nice wines here. So, yeah,
Yeah, and then in terms of, I'm not a wine person myself, but I can vouch for what Alberto said about the quality of the food. Is I tasted it firsthand as well. We had a Secret Santa dinner there, and we like literally could not stop eating. And even the wine was suggested by the one of the waitresses there. And it was perfectly paired. We got different types of wine because I don't like white wine. I took red wine, and like the pairing with each dish, the starter and the main was like it's really I don't understand in wine. I just know what I like and I don't like by its taste, right? I'm not a connoisseur or anything like that. But it's really nice when you are guided and the person who guides you and says I would go for this. It really matches. The food and what you like. So I had this experience firsthand, and it would be great if this became the norm. In Malta. So kudos for that.
thanks.
So, as we were talking as well a bit before, in the beginning you mentioned the importance, like you use a lot and a lot of local produce. It's basically all your menu, if I'm understanding correctly. So, I don't know if you want to go into more information on that for everyone.
Well, I, as I said before, I'm a small restaurant, and I really believe in small sort of helping small, and really the big should help the small too. But obviously, then sort of the bigger the outlet, the bigger the place, you sort of fight more for prices. And so for me, if everybody had to, push local produce and really show the importance of local produce, when something like this COVID-19 hits us, which all right, it happens once in 100 years, but we wouldn't be bothered in thinking of where we are going to get food in the coming weeks. The Maltese farmer, their, their fields and their jobs are being rendered to nothing. And then we wonder
That's true.
why we depend so much on the catamaran, that
Yes,
things are
importation.
going our, in. It's it's for me, if we are going to keep pushing the local produce aside, because it might not look, as sexy as the imported stuff, I'm sure it doesn't taste. For me, the local produce tastes far much better than the imported. Imported stuff might look better. It's true,
And when you
but
say, w-
yeah,
so go on, go on.
what I'm saying is just for me, taste-wise, the local produce tastes much better.
Yeah,
The foreign produce might look better,
yeah.
which is fact.
And when you say local produce and you say that your menu is full of it, is we're talking vegetables and meats as well, or are you just talking vegetables here,
So
fruits
I'm
and
speaking
vegetables?
vegetables, fruits, most of the meats,
Okay,
most of the meats. If you
okay,
get a good butcher, he will actually age your meat. Obviously,
yeah,
you need to have a relationship that if he's going to keep half aside for you in a fridge, which is hanging for 14 days,
yeah.
he needs to know that you are going to buy it.
Yeah, and
But
I agree here. Like, my partner is Spanish, and the Spanish have amazing produce as well. Wherever really you go, she's from Madrid. Madrid is amazing in my opinion, but even north of Spain in the Basque region, they have it speaks for itself. But they say, and even our friends, they say like Malta sometimes has better potatoes than Spain, or the tomatoes taste better. And I personally agree. Like, I love the Maltese potatoes, And even in terms of meats, before I was skeptical about Maltese meats as well, because I never found the right butcher. But now, thanks to COVID, I did some experimentation with getting from different butchers, basically, and I don't need to mention names, but I finally found the one where the meat is exquisite, and we're like, what were we missing? Because it really, even in terms of vegetables, I was kind of, it was hit and miss, with this vegetable truck or this place, but finally we found a place which is literally from the farmer, which the produce is brilliant. Why would I not want this product now that I know that it's so good? Why would I want a non-Maltese product? Doesn't make any sense. So I'm totally with you, and I respect you for doing this. Um, at a restaurant local level, because as you said, it might result into higher prices, which might mean you might be less competitive. But then again, Townhouse is successful, and it's thanks to that commitment that you have. So I would not change it.
And it's nice to know as well, because when you're saying that you're using local produce, the person that is coming to eat at your restaurant can trust in the quality and everything that you are using and putting on the plate. Because at times, I mean, you're just going, you're getting, I don't know, I have a child, so I go to a restaurant and I know there's chicken nuggets on the menu, but I know this is a processed product that they're just getting out of a bag, putting in a frying with oil, and then putting it on his plate. And I prefer going to those restaurants that take the time to actually make fresh chicken nuggets, because I know that I can still give him what he's looking for, but I'm giving him something that is at least better than the processed pre-packaged thing that we easily find in a freezer in the supermarket. We are mentioning the COVID-19, and I did want to ask you, Malcolm, how it has affected you, your business, and your personal life. Because I'm sure, I mean, in the catering industry, for sure, you've been hit for hard.
we've we've been hit very hard. I mean, hard enough to be shot. Um, for me, from my point, so starting a business and not having a background, it takes longer. So Townhouse was really taking time to rebuild. Now this year, from last year, since autumn, it sort of was quite good. End of November, December, we had a bit of turmoil in the country, so that was another hit because sort of the bigger tables cancelled up in the run up to Christmas. And I had a very, very good January and a very good February. So I was looking at, I was saying this year might be my year that Townhouse actually, I've been putting so much in it, for a small place, which is a 20-seater. I mean, it takes 20 covers upstairs and 10 downstairs. I've got a wine list of 150 labels. So it's been building up for a long time. January, February were really good, and then this had to happen. So it's it's hard. It's hard to digest. It came, and we did try to do things, some pies, always. So we kept on doing what we were doing, local produce. So even if we did a pie, we made sure that it's local. It's local ricotta. It's asparagus from Gozo. If it's tuna, it's local tuna. It's local spinach. So we kept on what we're doing. But COVID, I mean, it's challenging in the least, because even doing these things, it's still not enough. And your personal life becomes a bit of a car crash, and sort of you're used to working long hours. Now you're longer hours at home. The good part is that I got to know my son a bit more than before, because I just used to see him in the morning and Sunday evening. So sort of we did spend more time together. We did some cooking at home. We did pizza, we did bread at home, like I'm sure almost everybody did.
Yes, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, right? I mean, the family time that we're getting to cherish is very nice, even though we're partnering it. So, I mean, we've replaced perhaps those long hours in the kitchen to teaching on a desk now. But I did actually see, and kudos on it. I mean, the deliveries and the takeouts, you've built quite a nice menu. Is it something that you're doing weekly? Because I saw the photos, like I saw you have this best-selling belly of local pork, for example.
Okay. Well, we really, we've been doing pies. So we do about 5 or 6 kinds of pies, again, local produce. And then we sort of try to pick a few of the best-selling dishes we had throughout the a la carte menus. As I'm not a big fan of trying to give you food that you'd eat in a restaurant in a foil box. So really, you need to think, what you can give. I know that the roast potatoes I used to give in the restaurant, which were triple cooked, now I can't do, because by the time I cook them, I close them, and I deliver, they're gonna become soggy. So we just had 3 dishes as main courses and 3 baked kind of starters. So we had gnocchi, pasta shells, and a baked rice. So really, that they don't change a lot. Although you can, I would never put a risotto on a takeaway menu, because I know that the way it's going to arrive in your house. If I don't want to eat it, I don't want you to eat it. So my menu looked much more restricted compared to others. But for me, if it's not going to arrive as it should be in your house, I
Right.
don't really want to.
That's actually an interesting point, Malcolm. How do you go about designing your menu, the typical menu when you're at the restaurant? Now, this menu, I know that you mentioned pies, etc. So let's kind of split them in two. How do you go about designing the restaurant menu for in seating and the takeaway delivery one? And do you change that regularly, based maybe on feedback, or maybe you want to just mix it up? What's your process there?
The menu at Townhouse changes once every 3 months. So every season it changes. So it's really what's in season, which should technically bring your food cost down. So it's definitely fresh, and I will definitely find it always, because it's useless. I try to put a white asparagus, which comes from Holland or from Italy, and one week I'll have it, and the next week I won't. Or else I need to have it frozen to definitely have it. So I use something local that's in season and that I will always find. On next to the prices, we had put the sign of how much of the produce is actually local. So there's a price and there's a percentage of what is local. So as for the normal restaurant menu, it gets changed seasonally, and and what is fresh. Then for the takeout, as I'm saying, I am not really happy with serving restaurant dishes on a takeout menu. So we did pies because I know that I'm gonna give you a fresh or a frozen pie, and you need to bake it at home. So really, coming out of your oven or coming out of my oven, we should both have the same, result. And then we had three baked starters and three main courses, which all could be reheated at home.
And I'm very curious. Like, is your menu? Is it a thing between restaurateurs that a menu is driven by maybe feedback from your clients and maybe the most loyal clients, or is it totally up to the chef patron or the owner? How does that work?
Uh, the way that you learn how to build a menu in college is it's split into four, into the cash cows, the whole thing. But for me, if I was running a big business that had to make money, then that's the way you have to do it. If your XYZ burger sells more, then it needs to stay there. It has to stay there. If you want to sell something, you put it on top right of the menu and you will sell it. It might be the last chance you will give it, putting it there. But in
Right.
having a small place like mine, that at the end of the day, I am not looking to make money. I'm looking to earn a wage, a decent wage, but being my own boss. So really, as long as
Hmm.
the food I'm putting on the menu is selling and the
Hmm.
7 tables I have are being sold, then I'm gonna keep putting sort of the things I want on the menu.
Right. And do you do just out of your curiosity to see if this dish, which is to your liking, is to the liking of others? Do you do any maybe food tasting sessions
We
or
do
anything of the sort?
every now and then we do sort of wine and dine. We find a wine producer and we do. I prefer doing lunches because lunches are long-winded. And for me, the wine and dine that you sit down at 8 o'clock and at 12 o'clock you're not ready. It's you know, and it's more pressure on the kitchen. The guests until the last one arrives, sort of you can't start. So I like doing them on a Sunday lunch. We start half 12. If we leave the restaurant at 6, it's been a good lunch.
Definitely. For sure. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Malcolm, for the feedback.
Oh, no, sorry. Very cool. Thank you very much, Malcolm. I am going to go on to the next question as we're already close to 30 minutes, so time does fly. So I wanted to discuss with you. I mean, we know there's a list of procedures that has been issued by MTA and the health authorities. I know for sure you've had to look through them and everything, but how easy is it, I mean, to comply with the procedures that you guys have been given?
Well, the list is there. It looks long, but once you read through it once, twice, sort of it makes a bit more sense. The thing is that sort of things are very fresh, things are changing. At one point, I was really frustrated because I could
Okay.
only use outside, and then it was, well, you either use outside or inside. With my space, I was going to get 5 tables maximum. So really,
All
five
right.
5 tables up to, you
Is
know,
it even worth it though to have 5 tables of two? Because I know you have to respect space, and I'm imagining even with just with cutlery and everything. I mean,
that's it. I mean, it, we will have to find a way of making it work. And really, sort of, if you have 10 or 20 tables, the thing is, are you going to fill them? Which I
mhm,
very much doubt. But sort of now the way things are changing, sort of at a point we really had to be COVID certified, and now sort of I'm not 100% sure that they will manage to certify everybody by tomorrow. So I've taken the decision not to open tomorrow, so we won't be open tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be open next week, as I really want to get things right. End of the day, we've been closed for 2 months.
yeah.
Being closed for another 4 or 5 days is not going to change. much.
Exactly, exactly. But do you think that the 5 days that they've given you is enough to get everything into order? Because I know, for example, the cutlery have to be done in bags now. There has to be a certain sanitation process, a certain amount of space between each table. And even just, I mean, for example, groups. If you have a group of 6 people, to my understanding, they have to be from the same household. Does this mean you have to stay checking each and every person's ID card?
This, see, this of the 6 people, I am not sure because I've been told this that they need to be from the same household, and then, well, if sort of the restriction of people meeting in a road is up to 6, then I'm sure that they're not from the same household. So I think if it's 6, it's 6. They can be from wherever you are, but it's what I think. Am I sure? No, I'm not. So it's
Malcolm, before you said about the 10 tables and or the 20, and you'll have to see if people will actually come. Just for my clarification, do you feel that people with the restaurant ban being lifted, they will still not flock to restaurants? Is that what you're saying, or did I misunderstand?
my gut feeling is that no, they will not flock the restaurants. Like yesterday, I had 2 calls from regulars
Right.
asking if I'm going to be open. I told them it will be next week, and they
Hmm.
both told me we'd rather come on a weekday,
Right.
even though they know that with my capacity, I'm going to have 3 tables inside and most probably 3 tables outside. They still don't want to come on a weekend. So
Right.
even with the space of my whole restaurant, even 6 tables are looking a lot. So I think that people are going to flock the restaurants? No, I don't.
I am not sure. I'm really curious to see your opinion and other people's opinions. And I would ask, and if people are kind of, we're seeing that, in the news, like many people are going to the beach or many people have gone here and there. And what do you think is the difference between like people going to these, I don't like, to the beach and all this versus the restaurant? Is it because there's more touching at a restaurant on the cutlery, or is it because uh, the restaurant is closed? Will there be differences between a closed restaurant and an open restaurant, or is it the same because still you need to use your hands and all this? What's your opinion on that?
For me, it's something which I don't really understand. Is it, are we going to the beach and in the countryside because we've had enough of staying at home? So
Right.
we
That,
need
yeah, that's the thing.
jet out. So if I've been stuck at home for 2 months, am I going to go in a restaurant? I doubt it. I'd
Okay.
rather go next to the trees or next to the beach.
Right.
But that's me.
Fair enough. And so to add to that, if because I kind of tend to agree, but again, I'm not sure. I have no idea. I am we're kind of you're kind of forced to live in your bubble, right? We have been forced to live in our bubble at home, literally having to stay at home. And I'm not one to really check the news or that anymore. I'm kind of tired of it. Um, but to add to that, when do you think then, in your opinion, will people start to say, okay, let's start to go to the restaurant, or is it like we have no idea?
But I mean, again, this is my opinion.
Yeah,
I I would go out to a restaurant to relax, to enjoy, you know, to
yeah,
sit back, to eat, to drink,
yeah.
and to have a good night.
Hmm.
So really, if the waitress is coming with a face shield, which she has to put on,
Yeah.
maybe
Exactly.
Is that another requirement, guys? Hello? Sorry, something got disconnected there. Can you still hear me?
yes, yes, yes,
All
yes.
right. Yeah, both of you just left. Anyway, is that another requirement actually that the servers have to wear some face masks?
Yes.
And do people need to go to the restaurant with face masks as well, like you go to the grocer or whatever?
About the guest coming with a face mask or no, I have no clue. But
Right,
this server wearing a face mask is a must, and
right. Because how,
that
like, how are you gonna stay eating? Take off the mask, eat it.
no,
But the server, I get it. It's a bit dystopian in a way that your servers with a face mask, it ruins the vibe of the night out, I
It,
would say.
it definitely does, but it's for the safety of both at the end of the day.
I get it, yeah,
You know,
for sure.
if my server is not well, and she'll tell me, she's obviously not working, but we don't know, is the guest 100% genuine, or he or she doesn't know, so the face shield is a shield for both. It's for the guest and for the food server.
Sure. Another question, if I may, Malcolm, do you foresee, for your restaurant, we're already seeing it kind of, in different, coming up on Facebook and all this. But do you foresee a shift in the uptake of technology for your restaurant? I don't know, digital menus, so they don't have to touch a menu. Enough. That's the first thing that's coming to my mind. But anything where which has been to an extent physical, will be changed into some digital format.
But some things will change definitely. I mean, our wine list is 18 pages long, so I'm already seeing most of my friends will be presenting it in a digital way, but I'm already seeing the table sort of bare and naked enough with practically nothing on it. So at least I will be presenting a paper menu, and it's recycled paper, and yeah, then we throw it away.
Okay.
Right.
There could also maybe be the option that the waiter actually holds the menu and explains. So there's a certain level where the waiter is going to remain with you, explaining each different thing, and you don't even have to give the table a menu.
Not really, because one of the things is that we need to avoid as much as possible the time of
Okay, time spent
being
next to each other.
in contact with the guest. So
Okay.
again, when you came in Christmas and the food server was able to explain and try to pair wine with what you were eating, and she was trying to pick your head to see if you like sweet, if you like
Yeah.
dry, if you like,
And we kept her there for a
basically,
long time. So
that whole experience is going to change now. Now it's
yeah.
going to be sort of colder.
You should get actual body shields like the police guys have, like that, so you'll be able to have a conversation and then go back and keep that relationship going on at least on the table. This does give me another question. With regards to the table, will your guests be able to sit in front of each other, anyways?
Till now, it's a yes. One of the people who I deliver food to is a doctor, and he had told me, try to get customers to sit in an L shape, so in the corner of the table. But really, if you go out to eat with your wife or with your partner, I'm sure that the time spent in front of each other on a table is going to change nothing because you're from the same household. So I'd understand if it was a business dinner that you don't sit sort of in front of each other, but if you're from the same household, I can't see what the change is.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Malcolm, what
Um,
are your apologies, Alberta, but just something that came to my mind. Apologies for maybe putting you on the spot with these questions, Malcolm, but I think it's very important. What these questions and the answers are very important for the viewers, and I encourage any of the viewers, if they have any questions, to put them forward in the Facebook comments. So, something I wanted to ask as well is that as Townhouse, what is the split between these couple bookings, regulars, the tourists, whatever, versus when it is more of an event, a birthday, anniversary, whatever, a get together, just like we had done for Secret Santa. What is the split for Townhouse, for you guys, and what do you expect? What is your forecast for this to in terms of events? What do you think is going to happen? Right now it's the 6 people. Will you see 6 people events? Will it go to 10? Tell us more.
For me, I mean, the majority of the clientele here were always smaller tables who want a quiet night. Each time I had a booking of 10, then I tried to suggest either the bar or the cellar. If it's a 16, I would sort of not impose, but try to put a minimum spend, and in that way they get the whole restaurant. I can never have
Right.
a table of 16 and a table of 2. So for me, if I always think in the way, if I go out to eat, if I go out to eat, I'm put in a room with a table of 16, and there's two tables of 2, and I'm on the table of 2. That is the first and last time I'll be eating in that restaurant.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. And what so what are your thoughts on is it maybe a goal for you that you would so go back to maybe having just relying on the intimate small dinners, lunches, or would you like to start getting more of these events once possible? Because obviously, an event maybe if they can take the whole place, 16 people, if there's it can be financially good for you guys as well. So, where would you like to steer to?
I I have personally always like the smaller tables. Even when you come to play the food, it's one thing plating 2 plates, and it's one thing trying to get 16 or 20 plates out. So really, when you're doing 2 plates, you know that you're doing them right, even if it's 4 plates. So I'm happier to do the smaller numbers, but I do understand that for the bigger places, would have the bigger tables,
Yeah.
this is going to be a very big challenge.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. I'll let Alberta get to the questions because I know I'm asking quite a lot and we are over 40 minutes, so apologies for hogging the time, but
It's
please go
fine.
ahead.
It's fine. I mean, everything is very good content, so I am actually really enjoying the show. I do actually want to get to a few comments that we've had because I seem to have missed them. Apologies, everyone. So we have had Rene here that in the beginning did post "Enology is an art and science combined together" with regards to wines. So thank you very much for that, Rene. We do have another comment here from Gail. I do not think it's going to show all on the screen. Okay, Malcolm. But basically, tells us, I came from the beauty industry, which is also part of the next set of businesses to open. We definitely did not have enough time to set up, and part of the mitigation protocol has been unclear to say the least. And I think this has been my perception, even from just the different suppliers and people I've seen even just posting on Facebook. And it seems even for your end, because you don't feel comfortable or ready to open up tomorrow in the time frame
That's it.
given.
That's it.
So thank you very much, Gail, for that. We have another comment here from Jonathan. Basically, again, this doesn't show all on the screen, so I'm going to read it out to you, Malcolm. In regards to menus, today I spoke with a friend who is a printer, and he informed me that disposable single-use menus are being requested by many restaurants. And I think you mentioned this as well, right,
That's
Malcolm?
it. Yes, 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 for sure.
Okay, so your guys are obligated to have a number of these menus ready. A person uses it and then it gets
Yeah,
thrown away.
totally.
Very cool. When are you planning to be ready next week?
But I am planning to be ready next week unless things change. And today the news were a bit mixed again, you know. But we will be ready to open next week, and then we take it as it comes. For me, sooner or later, we do have to take the step. I am no doctor, I'm no healthcare worker, so for
Correct.
sure they are going through a lot. But when I speak to my friends, it's one thing getting the virus and being in quarantine at home, and it's another thing sort of seeing people getting sick and going to hospital. So the way sort of me and my friends I see it, we are no one. We've got no idea in medicine. But it's one thing getting COVID-19 and being stuck in home with quarantine, and there is another thing if it's worrying enough that people are going to help the health.
Malcolm, before the show, when we were speaking, you actually said that there was a certain number, I don't know what the number is, 100 something, that have been actually COVID certified. Does that mean that all other restaurants which will not be certified by tomorrow legally cannot open?
But as again, this is as far as I know, and we've been in contact with MTA. We spoke with them. They will not manage to check each outlet,
Right.
including mine. I called up and said that I am ready. Uh,
Right.
but there's many more, and it's obvious. Three days is not enough to go all around the outlets
Definitely.
in Malta. So,
Definitely.
as far as I am aware, we can open as long as we are up to scratch with what we've been told to do. And we need to expect an inspection. So if they turn up, you've
Hmm.
said you're ready, and you're not ready,
Hmm.
obviously you are going to suffer the consequences. As far as I know, the first one is a warning, and the second one is a loss in operating license.
Wow.
So
Okay.
there's no enforcement of actually having a certification right next to your door for the guests to be able to see upon entering.
Some restaurants will have it, but it's going to be only the few because obviously
Because
it's
you feel more
very
safe. I mean, just seeing that.
definitely what I believe in the beginning, the guests who will come are sort of the guests who trust you, the guests who have built a relationship with you. I don't think that there's going to be many new guests trying new restaurants in the coming weeks. So it's really your clientele, your regulars, who will come first of all to support you because they know that we've been through a lot.
For sure.
I
Yes.
don't mind saying, but the finances are going down. So you're gonna have your regulars who want to make sure that you're still there. So they will come. They will come with caution, but I believe that the regular customers, yes, will come.
Yes. We can again remind our viewers to try and support the local businesses. So if there's a level of trust built with any particular restaurants or anything, it's good to support because everyone is in the same boat. People that have become unemployed, restaurants that have been closed for months, bars are the same. I mean, everyone is struggling at the moment. Everyone needs help. Same as we've been told, help your neighbor if she's over 65 and they live on their own, to go knock on their door. The same thing for all the businesses that are in operation that, of course, are struggling if they're in events, catering, hospitality. We're all in the same boat. But I do know, so you have built the menu with the deliveries and the takeouts. Do you plan on keeping this going temporarily or permanently?
As for the pies that you bake at home, those are something which I would try my best to keep doing. But as for the takeout food, it it was never something which I enjoyed doing. For me,
You need to come to the restaurant and eat my food here with
it's,
my with the wine, right? You get the
really,
best
no,
experience.
it's because of the execution. So now, if we've cured a pork belly, and then we've cooked it sous vide for 36 hours, and then I cooked it in the oven to make sure that it gets the perfect crackling on top. The second I'm going to close it in a foil box, that crackling is not going to remain as crackling as it was.
For sure.
So, do I want to keep doing the takeaway food? Not really. But I will keep doing sort of the pies and those things that you can put in the freezer and you can bake when you want to.
Very good. I mean, they do look divine because I was looking at the photos again. There's tuna ricotta with spinach. I saw rabbit ones. Guys, definitely everyone has to check these out. نعمل لك Malcolm, I'm on your side. They really, really look divine, guys. I am going to go to the next point because you actually have mentioned it briefly, but with regards to the support relief that you've been given from the government, has it been helpful? I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
It 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 has definitely been helpful. I mean, for a small place like mine, if we didn't have this government relief this month, instead of saying that I'm going to open, I would be turning up to my landlord and say that I'm going to close. Because running a small business, I had enough money to run for 2 months with no sales. So, the government relief was a very big help. Who says that it wasn't help is nuts. For me, it gave me the chance to be able to reopen the doors.
Okay, all right. A question does pop into mind because I know sometimes people do seek more outdoor venues in the summertime and everything. Your audience, do they come throughout the whole year? Do they come only in winter? Is opening now even going to be worth it, sort of?
The the thing of Townhouse number 3 and maybe Rabat in general, it's not really a summer place. So the way I've always worked was that in spring, you got a really good feast of Saint Joseph, then you get Mother's Day, you get Easter. So really, these were all days where I say,
Prepared.
I prepare myself for summer. So what I do in spring is usually I over purchase in wines and spirits. So then in summer I sort of sell and I don't buy, and that was my way of getting through summer. Townhouse has never sort of been a successful place in summer. In fact, this is going to be my fourth summer. Last summer, the third one was the first summer which I didn't lose money. The first 2 summers, I actually lost money. But then autumn comes and you start to work. Now, this place, it works sort of on a clock that once autumn comes, you start to work, winter is good, spring is very good, and summer is a complete write off. So for me, having lost spring and now looking into summer, to be honest, it's not the nicest view, but something which has to be done. We just hope that we'll get to autumn.
Agreed. No, agreed completely. And actually, we do have a comment here from Jane and Farrugia. I have a restaurant in Valletta and we won't be opening tomorrow. Not for any particular reason, but quite honestly, people's comments over the last few days are not exactly filling us with confidence. Um, I,
Well, I'm curious to see again. I'm curious to see what the comments are. My partner Jonathan actually mentioned that he has seen some bad rep, so to speak, or flack on Facebook where people are saying, this is crazy, it's a bit too early, blah blah blah. But I'm curious to see what comments Jane and what restaurant Jane is from. I'm curious to see what the comments are because that's quite a strong statement, right? That again, I am not in the restaurant business, but I see it this way. Like, if the restaurants have been closed for 2 months, and as a business owner, we are starving to get back to business, right? Because all revenue has come to a halt, like most others. There are only a few businesses which are truly making some money right now. Most people are closed. So it's a very strong statement and respectable statement from Jane and even from you, Malcolm, to say like we are not opening tomorrow, even though we can open tomorrow technically. So it speaks volumes, and it should be explored further, in my opinion. So if maybe Jane is still listening and she could tell us a bit more about this, it would be great. But yeah, I mean, it is quite in a way worrisome as well. That the restaurant ban is lifted, but still there isn't confidence in going. So
Uh,
we'll have
yeah.
to see.
From, I mean, from my point of view, being a small restaurant and the team is very small, for me, 3 days and the way that we prepare food here, practically here, everything is done on scratch in the place. So even if it's butter, we buy the cream, we whip it, and we over whip it and we turn it into butter. Ice creams are done here. So for me, the 3 day is not enough. Do I concentrate on getting the place ready for COVID? Or do I concentrate on getting the food at the standard I wanted? So I knew that I cannot make it. So we've put the energy of these first 2 days until midday tomorrow to get the place up to standard, to as it should be, to be COVID certified. And then in the beginning of next week, we'll start preparing the fresh food. So hopefully by
Yeah.
midweek, we'll be ready to open.
But you're also mentioning the part from your end, right? But Jane seems to also be echoing the sentiment that even though the restaurant might be ready, yes, the 3 days weren't enough on all this. But what I think Jane is also saying is that it's from a perception point of view of the customer that that they're not ready to do so, which echoes what you were saying. Maybe only the regulars would go and all this. So
I
it's interesting to see.
I I think that I do have an idea about which comments Jane read, and basically they were
Right,
after a Facebook post of Malta's sort of biggest, or most leading newspaper yesterday. It was either
right,
yesterday or the day before, and the
okay,
tweets of the people were tough, and
right.
were tough enough to even think, do they hate us? You know, honestly. So reading
Wow.
those comments, I mean, you can look it up. It was either yesterday's or the day before in Malta's biggest newspaper. Uh,
Yeah.
and you
Okay.
need to think, why put this effort, you know, in trying to open by Friday? If if this is the feel, this is the pulse, which in a
But what
way,
are they saying, Malcolm? If you may share. I mean, you don't. What is the sentiment like? What are they saying? Like,
well, the majority were, if we've been stuck for so long at home, why
right,
should we now go to a restaurant, and put ourselves in risk? Is
right.
the whole thing, is there a risk? You know, but when you've been being, now, whether it's good or bad, social media
Hmm.
brainwashes. So when you're being listened, every day we make sure that at 12:30 we're there to check the bulletin, how many
Right.
cured, how many not. So if on your mind, the only thing that is on your mind is COVID-19, do you feel relaxed enough to go in a restaurant? Which I
Yeah,
doubt.
it takes away the appetite. Yeah,
So
I
Very
get it.
true, very true. I have also seen different polls where there's a high percentage of people saying that no, we wouldn't be comfortable going out, and so on. So I do think that. So one, we do need the economy to kickstart again. It needs to be done for all businesses, for Malta in general. Otherwise, we're just going to be crushed in the long run. But at the same time, I do think that there needs to be a level of trust that the businesses are able to build so that your audience can be more comfortable because it's not just with restaurants. If we know that retail outlets have been open now for a few weeks, realistically, a few of them are saying it's not even worth it being open. Might as well they kept selling online because to have all the all the costs running and their sales space in there and everything for the few people that are going in, it's not making sense.
Yeah.
I am going to put on for you guys. We have a few more comments here. Another one from Jonathan, who said one of the major problems is that the government didn't give time for people to adjust their mindset, and the number of COVID cases are double digits on the same week that it was announced. And actually, this was my same thought as well this week. The numbers have been going up. I do understand the business has to go forward, though.
Yeah, and so, some comments, like even in my circle of friends. I mean, and comments are comments, but perception is everything in this stuff. In this case, right? But the sentiment within my group of friends is like, if the restaurant ban is lifted, when we have digit cases, then why were we indoors for the last 2 months when we were getting one case Lawolem? So this is the perception of people, which you can't argue with, really. That is their thought. So I agree with what John is saying here.
Sorry. We actually have another comment, Malcolm, for you here from Jonathan. He says, I was not looking forward to going to restaurants, but listening to Malcolm. Ooh, 1 second. I've lost it. Okay. We have quite a few more comments, actually. I've realized. So I'm going to start again. I was not looking forward to going to a restaurant, but listening to Malcolm talk about how they prefer the food reminds me of why I loved going to restaurants. And this again, I would have to agree with John. So, well done on this, Malcolm. You've really outdone it with restaurants and food and wine and the overall presentation and everything. I have more comments here for you. Now we have one from Miguel Kakia. It's again quite long, so I'm going to read it to you. Most people won't feel comfortable eating in a restaurant just for the simple reason that the experience is not the same, which is exactly what you were saying before, Malcolm. It will be super weird to be in a semi empty restaurant, welcomed, served by a waiter with a visor or mask, with different menus and disposable items on the table. Patrons won't feel at ease with the experience and they would still be paying the same prices for a very different experience. I don't know if you would agree to this,
Well,
Malcolm.
I agree 100% with him. Now he sort of mentioned the prices. I was really considering, and I'm really going to try my best to make the prices slightly more attractive. You know,
But
I've
is
really,
it even possible for you?
it,
Because I
it,
mean,
it's not really. I myself have sort of reached a compromise with my landlord that, listen, things are not going to work, and the chances are that I will leave. So we arrived to a compromise of a longer term deduction in rent to at least give me chance to build up again. And so that if that happens, well and good. But when he mentions the prices, I can speak about myself. In the past 24 hours, now I'm speaking about three dispensers and a 5 liter hand sanitizer, which is 76% alcohol. I've spent €230 on three dispensers and a 5 liter of sanitizer. So that doesn't
wow.
include face masks, menus, and the whole thing that is going to come along. Those €230, am I going to add them on the food, on the beverage, or are they coming out of my pocket? The way I'm looking at it, they're coming out of my pocket. I cannot, I just cannot increase prices, or as I've seen on a chit of a different country where there was a supplement which was called COVID-19 supplement. Are people ready to have a €1 or a €2 supplement for COVID-19? The way I'm looking at it, because I'm a very small place and I'm hoping that a 5 liter, tank of sanitizer is going to last away, those €230 came out of my pocket. But if you're a big outlet, and obviously the expenses are big, what do you do? Do you do a COVID? I mean, there was a time that we were used to having a cover charge,
Yeah.
which would be a €1 or 150, which sort of include the linen cost and the whole thing of setting up your table. So now, is it going to be the case that some places are going to put a COVID-19 supplement for the expenses that restaurants are taking when we know that we're in a period that people have lost jobs, people
Yeah.
have lost their part-time jobs because we can't forget a lot of people used to use the catering as a part-time job. So you've got your full-time job doing something else, you work a bit of catering, and that gives you some disposable cash to use in a restaurant, in a pub, in a club, going on holiday. So the disposable cash has shrinked a lot. So now, what if you go to eat in a restaurant and with your 80 or €100 bill for two, you'll find a 2 or a €3 supplement for COVID-19. What do you do? Do you accept it? Will you go again? Will you think that the restaurant is stealing? Is
Yeah. Maybe us from the side that we do speak to different suppliers and restaurants and everything, perhaps Ben and myself do understand it, but not everyone is going to understand it there. I personally would say go for it, because anyways you're going to be leaving a tip. So I mean, if you're ready to go out in a restaurant and have that experience, then yes, I personally wouldn't mind spending a particular percentage on helping the restaurant be COVID certified, and have everything up to regulation. Thank you very much for that comment, Miguel. I am going to take us to the last question we have, Miguel, because I think we've just about to skip an hour on the show. So basically, our last question for you was looking ahead. If you have any plans or new projects for your restaurant?
But really now, looking ahead, and the plans are simply to make it. We just need to find a way of making it. Hopefully, time will pass and we'll be able to laugh about it. And we'll say, Lalo, it was a really tough time, but it's past. I don't believe that everybody's gonna be, so lucky. I honestly don't believe that everybody will be so lucky. But really, my plans are always to keep pushing local produce. So, you know,
Definitely,
I will
definitely.
sort of help the small, and it reciprocates, because when you buy cheese from Mr. X, and they will help you back. So you
Yes.
buy from them. If they've got a birthday or a celebration, they will be doing it in your restaurant. So it's very reciprocal.
I mean, we're very lucky to have them because I mean, if the percentage continues increasing of the people using local produce, we're helping Malta because at the end of the day, we have amazing weather, we have amazing food that can be grown and fed and everything and taken care of here. So we should be pushing on that and helping these guys grow up. I mean, I was talking to a different supplier a few months ago, and he was telling me the same thing. He was trying to help farmers and everything growing and improving because looking at the amount of work that they go through and then the profits that they actually are able to make to just feed their family. I mean, it's a difficult industry to be in.
It is. It is. It's a difficult industry to be in, and for whoever wants to keep seeing a sort of a greener Malta, you really need to help the farmers. Now, it's not helping Townhouse number three. Get Townhouse number three, out of the equation. But when you buy vegetables off the farmer, then you're making sure that those fields have got crops. Now, the more we starve the farmer, the more the farmer is not going to want to work his field. So the field becomes barren, it's not taken care of, somebody will start throwing dump in it, or whatever. And sooner or later, that field will become a construction site.
Great.
So,
And I think we have enough of that in Malta.
so
Amazing. All right. Well, I mean, thank you very much for everything, Malcolm. I've enjoyed having you on the show. So thank you again, because this was very short notice. So really, thank you for taking the time and coming on with us today. I don't know if you have any final words before we come to a closing.
for me, really, at this point, everybody needs to respect everybody's opinion. So, you know, people shouldn't be judging a restaurant for opening, or another person for going out for dinner. If you want to stay at home, stay home. And no one should look at the people who want to stay at home as people who don't want to do anything. Everybody's got his opinion. We need to respect it, and hopefully things will get better.
Agreed. Maybe we should just keep our comments to ourselves. Very good. Thank you very much, Malcolm. Ben, I don't know if you have any last words for everyone.
I just want to say thank you to Malcolm. We did want to get into in this exclusive show regarding restaurants ahead of tomorrow, because I think that there are many unanswered questions, both from restaurateurs, from us, as eventually, I mean, and as well as the clientele, clearly from what we've seen in the show and from the comments. So I hope that we did answer some questions. Some questions in my mind were answered, so I do thank you for that. Hopefully for the viewers as well. Again, if there are any questions that you do have, please pass them on to us or to Malcolm, or and we will get them to the right person. I just want to thank you again, Malcolm, for all your time. And I can't wait to come back to your restaurant to eat your amazing food, because I really need it. I miss it. So thank you and have a great day.
Thanks.
Super.
Cheers.
All right, guys. I am just going to wave to you goodbye and remove you from the stream. So, ciao, guys. Bye, Malcolm.
Ciao.
So So there you have it, guys. We had Malcolm today speaking with us from Townhouse number 3. There are a lot of questions that people have. Everyone is trying to deal with everything that is happening day by day. At the same time, everyone wants to get their business running. I mean, get your feet back stable on the ground, which I think everyone needs slowly right now. I do encourage everyone to do support all the local businesses in Malta, and as Malcolm mentioned, even with local produce, all the farmers, and let's keep helping everyone as we've done in the last few months. Thank you to all our viewers. It's been great doing this show today with Malcolm and Ben and all of you guys, and I do look forward actually to seeing you tomorrow because we're going to be having Busy Bee live at 11 a.m. Thank you again, and see you tomorrow.